we are.
Hey.
Since you can't be with us today at the luncheon, okay, let's fast forward to January 23rd.
Right.
You're on location and cannot accept it in person, correct?
That's correct.
That's right. So in lieu of you not being able to be at the luncheon, we wanted to come over and visit with you both because you both have things to celebrate about regarding Illini Rebounders. So
exactly. We've always celebrated Illini Rebounders.
Well, tell me a little bit about that. Everyone always asks me, how did Rebounders get started? How did Illini Rebounders get started?
Well, Lou can tell you that better than I.
When I came to the University of Illinois in 1975, we did some recruiting, and then in the summer and early in the summer, I noticed there were two things that were missing. We didn't have many students around. They would never come to the inter-squad games and so on. And then we didn't have a support group. And we'd always had one, and so that's when I met with
Community support group.
Community support.
Right.
That's when I met with 2 or 3 guys, maybe 4, and we talked about forming the Rebounders, and that's how it got its name. And then we set up a board and the bylaws and all, and that's how it started.
That's how it started. So how did you get the word out that there was this organization? Could anyone come? Did you have a meeting?
No, it was advertised, and
advertised.
When we first got started, we had very few come. Then, of course, it continued to grow, and like it is today, it's unbelievable how much it has grown. And so we had a tremendous board, and Wayne Nork was our first president. And by the way, we've had outstanding presidents since then. We've known all of them, and Sarah, you're another one of the great ones. So nice to have you as president of the Rebounders.
That's exactly right.
In order for an organization to go, you got to have leadership. It starts with the president, and then with the board, and then you have a lot of other people helping you.
Well, we do have a great board today, I will say that, and we have great memberships. But I get asked that question so much. And another question I get asked is, what exactly does Illini Rebounders do? So with that, what did you want Illini Rebounders to be for you when you created it?
First of all, it gives you great support throughout the community. And same when you have a good support group, it seems to permeate the community and really help. And another thing, it's a good fundraiser. You know, it helps to finance the budget. And but the spirit is a big thing, and at ball games the Rebounders are very vocal, and they help to lead the cheers as well as the cheerleaders.
I know that there are some members today that were original members. Can you name any of them that were there the day one that are still members today?
Well, I'd hate to start because we have several in the community,
Yeah,
and they've really been good. And by the way, other than marrying Mary and her children, grandchildren, the Rebounders, being at the University of Illinois is the best decision ever made. And we treasure the years that we spent at the U of I. And the rebound meetings were really fantastic. You know, even when we lost games, I went to the rebound meetings. And maybe I did a poor job of coaching, but you'd never know it. The Rebounders were so supportive.
Well, I guess we tried to be, you know. And so what was your role as you got started? Did you go out and hand out flyers, or what was your role?
Oh, no. But we did have a very active, supportive board. And their wives, and some of our very best friends we met at Rebounders. And they're still wonderful friends. And but the support that Lou mentioned, going to games together and supporting out-of-town games and in town for that matter, it's just been so tremendous, so tremendous. And we feel that you've got to have that underpinning of a program, and that's what we feel that the Rebounders is. It's just that underpinning, and keeps us up there and keeps our spirits high and keeps the community involved and all of that. It's wonderful.
Wherever you go in the country, or I guess all over the world, and I hear this from other people that travel, they will see Illini fans. Do you run into not only Illini fans, but Illini Rebounders at other places in the country? Will you see them and wherever?
Well, we have certainly run into Rebounders and Illini all over the country, and over, you know, internationally as well. We've run into people that are big Illini supporters, and you know, the Illini nation, as they say, is tremendously large and interested in what's going on this campus and community, and we see them every place. And some of them drop in on us in New Mexico.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's not a bad
Which
place
we
to drop
love.
in.
Yeah.
We love it when they
Yeah.
do that.
Sarah, we're in Munich, Germany. We went there recruiting, and we were walking down the sidewalk about midnight, holding hands and having a great time. And some fellow across the street, "Hey, Lou!"
Oh,
saw somebody there.
all the way over in
You're
Munich.
right.
So, and I'm sure you probably knew him too, right?
Yes,
Yes,
we
we
did.
did.
Yeah.
Oh yes, oh absolutely. He was from Urbana.
He was
Yeah.
from
He and
Urbana.
his wife were there on a convention.
Wow. Well, I think that's what Coach Weber tries to relay to his team today. He mentioned that when they were over in Italy this year, that when they got off the bus, one of the people in charge, they were at the military base, I believe, knew the strength coach, knew Jimmy, right? Correct? And said, "Well, hi, Jimmy." And Lou's like, "Who knows Jimmy all the way over in Italy?"
Right,
And she
right.
gave him a big hug, and it turns
Yeah.
out she had been at the U of I.
Mm-hmm.
And had been a student. So
Yes.
so I guess that still goes on today. Goes on
Oh,
today.
yes.
But Mary, you've been on a lot of trips with Lou. I'm sure some good, some bad. What probably has been your most memorable trip, road trip to a game or a function or whatever that would be probably your most memorable
Oh my gosh, how can I even
or most exciting?
begin to? Well, one of the wonderful ones was when he won his 500th, when the Illini and Lou won their 500th victory with the shot, the Nick Anderson shot at Indiana. That was especially memorable. But there have been lots of those. I mean, you know, not exactly like that, but there have been a lot of wonderful times. And even if we lost, going to the Final Four, that wonderful run that we had at the regionals, oh my gosh, talk about exciting. That was fabulous. And just all the time, you know, we had great memories of a lot of that.
Sarah, I remember that night, the Nick Anderson shot, I mean, with about 2 seconds to go, we had to go the length of the floor, and we threw it to half court, a little beyond half court. Nick took a bounce, shot the ball, and went through. And it was great. It was great. For the next month, every television set, every radio, newspaper, all he did is talk about Nick Anderson's shot. They never said anything about me. I was the guy who designed the shot. I got no credit.
I was going to say, did you draw it up, or did
Yeah,
Dick
of
draw
course.
it up, or who drew up that?
Oh, I'll take the credit.
You'll take the credit for that. Sure. I'm sure it changes hands
Right.
several times. But leading up to that shot, though, that game was back and forth the whole game.
Oh yes.
The whole game. What was Coach Knight's reaction after that game was over?
Oh, I don't think he spoke to me. He might have said nice game, reluctantly.
Reluctantly, and that was it. Yeah, that was a shot that everyone remembers. A big time, big time. Oh, I'd say for you, what would be one of your most memorable moments, Coach?
Well, of course, you know, getting to the Final Four is something special. A school seldom gets there. Some never get to Final Four, and I think that when we beat Syracuse to get there, there were several things that happened in that game. We were down 12. They were a great team. We came back and got the lead and got into the Final Four, and that was probably one of the best games that I've been associated with.
Now, you shared something with me before we started filming about the injury. Tell us a little bit about the injury and the fact that Kenny didn't play or practice, right? Until the next
We
day.
went to regionals that year in Minneapolis, and it was the best regional by far, and all the media indicated that. We played first Syracuse the second game, and the first game we played Louisville. Louisville was tremendous with Ellison. Well, we won that game, and then we beat Syracuse, but before the first game of the regionals, Battle was coming out to work out the day before, and the old arena there was leaking, and Battle slipped on water and played very little in that first game. And then the next game, we had an injury. Lowell Hamilton sprained his ankle, didn't even work out the next week before we played Michigan in the semifinals.
Wow. So he didn't play at all. He just received treatments up until game time.
That is correct. Didn't practice. He did play in that ball game, but naturally he wasn't up to par.
Right, right. Well, that says a lot for the team too. So as people continue to talk about that team, and,
Right.
And as Stephen Bardo said, and as Tom Skaggs says, the other great Illini team. So as he made reference to the 05 team as well.
Of course.
You've had a lot
course.
of great players come through here. A lot of great athletes. A lot of great memories with that. What would be probably one of your more interesting, more memorable recruiting trips as you were recruiting people? Can you think of some that would be?
Well, I can't think of any. Probably the most interesting is when we went to Europe and we were recruiting a young man. And by the way, he didn't come here. But we spent 2 or 3 weeks back then. You could recruit as many days as you wanted to and recruit during the summer. So that was a very enjoyable trip for us and pretty tiring, but we enjoyed that a lot.
You probably went on some trips too, right? So
Oh,
what
yes.
would your role be as the wife of the coach? What would you do when you would go in and recruit and go to see these?
Well, of course, now wives can't even participate in
No, they
recruiting,
can't.
can they? Off campus,
Yeah.
right? Well, anyway, well, I went with him on this trip, and we just go in, and the family invites us in, and we visit with them, and just get to know them, and they get to know us a little bit, and it may or may not, depending on how they view us, be beneficial,
Right.
whatever, But I always enjoyed getting to know the parents of the players, the families when they came in for games and so forth. I would always be available and talk to them and make myself make them feel welcome.
What would be some of the questions that they would ask you, as a parent of a student athlete? What would they ask you? Would they ask about the school? Would they ask about the program? What?
I think one of the first things they're interested and concerned about the education. Of course, when you're at the U of I, most people know about the great university that we have, but they still like for you to tell them about the university. And they want to know how their son will fit in socially and what to expect from a basketball point of view. And of course, any recruiter is going to be optimistic. You have to be to recruit them, and in most cases, we wouldn't be there if we didn't think they could play at the U of I.
Sure. And I know back then, as you mentioned, that rules were a little more, I guess, lax, for lack of a better term. But what's the biggest change in recruiting today, do you think?
Well, there have been a lot of changes. Years ago, we used to be able to go and see recruits every day of the week. And so now you're limited. In the summer, you have a certain amount of time to go, and then in the fall, and then during the year. So that thing has really changed, the recruiting. So you can't go out every night. When I came to Illinois, one thing, see, we hadn't been to the NCAA in 21 time in 25 years, and attendance was down, and so I told my assistants, I said, we want to get in 400 high schools, whether they have players or not. And we succeeded. We did that. Well, today you can't do it. And that gave us the advantage because we needed to tell them about the University of Illinois.
Sure. Well, and